When people ask me, how do I make sure that all the students who have enrolled in my batch program, they clear the exam? We normally have a long discussion that we have a success coaching system and all those things. But in our last batch, batch 7, which ended yesterday, last night, we made a video. We made something that is the last thing in our 7th batch. After 5 days of intensive training of PMP, I asked the students to make a mind map of entire PMP, entire thing that they have learned in last 5 days, 2 weeks. So we had 12 students, we made two groups, and the work they did it. That will tell you how I make sure that they are going to clear PMP exam even in less than 1 month. Watch the video and find it out yourself that if you are at this level and then started doing mock. And interestingly, one of the student I gave all of them one complete mock to do. One of them did a mock, and you know what result he got? 83.4 percentage in his first mock ever. Yes, 83.4 percentage in first mock ever. So enjoy the video and find it out yourself that can you clear PMP exam in this way or not.
Initial activities here, we do a needs assessment, we create a business case, uh, and then you create your business or your benefit management plan. Post that, you create a charter and your assumptions log. Then we have the different types of organizations, the different types of PMOs, uh, and all these things. And then we said, once you actually get into the project, okay, your project governance happens through the project management plan. And you have various subplans that um, feed into the project management plan. And against each of these, we try to capture the essential items. So we start with the scope management plan and where we capture requirements. So we got the project scope statement. Then we what are the elements of the scope statement. Then gathering requirements, we capture both functional, non-functional. We have the acceptance criteria. Then we do a requirements traceability matrix. Then there are tools that we use for capturing requirements, such as affinity diagrams, interviews, focus groups, so on and so forth. And moving on to schedule management, we start by defining activities. What is the duration of these activities? We sequence the activities. We identify what the dependencies are. We create a schedule baseline. We utilize things like precedence diagram to sequence the activities, network diagrams to understand where is it that we have scope for any delays or not. Then earned value analysis, if applicable. Okay. Then moving on to cost management plan, the critical thing here, not the critical thing, but one of the key things here is creating a cost baseline, then estimating the cost using different techniques like analogous, parametric, bottom-up, 3-point PERT technique, so on and so forth. Then the concept of earned value management. We've captured some elements of earned value management here: cost, cost performance index, variance, then business at completion, so on and so forth. Then once we estimate all the costs and we roll up the cost, we know what the likely cost is based on which we ask for a budget. Then we have reserves like contingency and management reserve. So management reserve, of course, is reserved with the management for unknown unknowns. We have contingency reserve, which is given to the project manager. Okay. For known unknowns, then we move on to the quality management plan. Sorry. We move on to the quality management plan where we come up with different things like we do audits. We have the concept of cost of quality where we talk about cost of conformance, cost of non-conformance. We do inspections. We utilize various quality improvement methodologies such as Six Sigma, Plan, Do, Check, Act, and we try to bring about continuous improvement. We try to make use of the seven tools that we spoke of, okay, to to analyze where things are going wrong, and from a quality perspective to understand based on data, where is it that we're going wrong, or where is it that improvements are possible. Then we have the resource management plan, where we spoke about things like we first put a team charter, then we identify resources. Once we get the resources, we train these resources. Okay, we develop and then manage the team. In case the team runs into any conflicts, we do conflict resolution. Every member on the project team, we understand from a ratio or RAM perspective what is their role on the team. Then we have a resource calendar. We have organizational theories that are applicable to resource management. Those are things we have there. Then in terms of communication management, we said there are different types of communication. You've got formal written, informal written, then formal verbal, informal verbal. We've got the 7 C's of communication, and the communication channels. We didn't put the formula here, which is the n into n minus 1 by 2, where n is the stakeholder. Then we've got internal, external, vertical, horizontal, and the sideways or downward communication. Then we've got push, pull, and interactive communication. For monitoring our communication management, we make use of things like our project management information system. We conduct audits, try to understand if there's any variance there. We want to make sure that our communication follows the 4R principle to ensure that it creates the right impact. Okay. And then we capture about the roles of people in the process of communication. You have a sender, and then, the message is encoded, it's decoded and received by the receiver. And anything that comes in between this entire process is basically noise. And the entire process is facilitated by using a medium. So that's that part of it. Then moving on to risk management, we said we start with identifying risks. One of the ways of doing that is using the PESTEL approach. And once the risks are identified, we log these risks on a risk register. Okay. We then try to perform further analysis on these risks. We do qualitative analysis where we try and understand what is the probability of a risk occurring and what is the impact if that risk kicks in. And in case we see that a risk can be very severe, and if it needs further analysis, that's when a risk is also subjected to quantitative analysis, where techniques such as Monte Carlo or decision tree or sensitivity analysis can be used, where you get the tornado diagram as the output. Then based on the analysis of the risks, we formulate a risk response plan, and that's the plan that's implemented in the event the risk kicks in. Now, once a risk actually kicks in, it transforms itself into an issue. And the other things we spoke of are things like, the risks can be, since a risk is an uncertain event, it could have a positive outcome or a negative outcome, depending on what kind of outcome it is. If it's a negative risk, then the options available to handle that risk are, you could either avoid that risk, you could mitigate it, you could transfer it to another party, or you could accept it. I mean, accept, of course, falls under both the categories. Positive is, you want to exploit that risk. You want to see if you can actually enhance it to make it work better in your favor, or you can share it with someone else within the organization. And finally, we said whenever we identify risks, we usually put a contingency plan in place. And for whatever reason, if we fall through the contingency as well, that's when the fallback plans come into play. Okay. And the final knowledge area we have is the stakeholder management area, or the stakeholder management plan, where it's all about identifying stakeholders. Once you identify the stakeholders, you put them on a stakeholder register. You basically create a stakeholder register, capture that information there. Then you create a stakeholder engagement matrix to understand, if the stakeholders are participating at the desired level or not. And to understand how I don't know how to express this, but utilizing models such as the salience model, power interest grid, and the stakeholder queue. Okay, you understand how a stakeholder can actually influence and impact your project based on their power or interest, or if you're talking about the salience model, like their power, urgency, legitimacy, so on and so forth. So that's basically what we captured here in
Okay.
the
That
predictive
was
model.
the entire predictive area explained
Yeah.
very well. Good. I really liked it. The way you explained it, very well. Next, Agile.
Next is the agile one. Okay. So basically here what we said is we also included the hybrid
Make
part
it
over
big,
here.
make it big so that it can be more clear.
Okay. So we said agile, and there could also be a hybrid approach, which is basically your agile plus the predictive. Okay. But coming back to agile, we said agile basically starts with the manifesto where we have the 4 values and the 12 principles.
Mhm.
Okay, and the most popularly used agile methodology is the Scrum methodology. We also spoke of extreme programming. Okay, now since most of the aspects we spoke of under agile are linked to Scrum, okay, we try to capture first of all what are the roles in a Scrum team. We've got the product owner, the development team, and the Scrum master. Okay, and it all starts with the product owner who captures the requirements in a product backlog. So we've got different artifacts that are used in a Scrum project, like you've got product backlog, you've got your sprint backlog, then you've got your product increments and your release backlog. Okay, and uh, once the product backlog is finalized, and basically a sprint starts, right? You have your sprint backlog that is put in place, but before the sprint backlog is started, you have a sprint planning to understand what you're going to do in
Just,
that sprint.
just one thing. You go to the
Yeah.
value stream, is basically the part of lean. I was looking here, you have missed lean area. Okay, lean
Okay. Okay.
Lean is all about removal of waste. Okay, so value stream map, of course, we have cycle time, lead time, and throughput, but it is the part of the methodology is basically lean. And the principles of lean we need to know for agile that lean is all about waste removal. And secondly, we also discussed the Kanban. So where is the Kanban?
Kanban, we haven't really captured it separately. We just captured
We,
Kanban boards
yeah,
and
That can work. That can work. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
we captured
we put
Kanban.
down, we put it right
Hmm.
radiators.
Yeah, under
in the
information
information
radiators.
radiators.
That can
Where
if because you must have for exam you must have understood
here's where we captured.
burn up burn down Kanban board, so you must have understanding for that. So when I got that was an awesome thing. So team one, well done, you did excellent work.
Thank you.
This was the video of group number one. Now, in next video, I will be sharing the video of group number two. Their work is also magnificent. The way they have done is also very awesome. So, if you want to become at this level from zero, understand this thing that all of these students who are at the zero level, like they haven't had that training, this was their start, and after 5 days, they reached to this level. This is just the last mind map that I showed you. In every day, they made like day one, the assignment was to make the mind map of day one. Day two, assignment was to make the mind map of day two, three, four, and five. And in between, we had case studies, assignment, and there were so many activities which made sure that they reach this level. And you will be seeing their interviews in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So if you want to become certified project management professional in less than 1 month, we are going to start our batch number 8. We are going to start batch number 8 on 14th of May. So mark this date on your calendar. 14th of May, we will be starting it. It will be 6 days program. 6 days program, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 14, 15, 16. Then next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. And join this PMI it authorized training program, and we will ensure that you become certified project management professional. One stop for everything. So see you in the program.
Anand just cleared PMP like 10 minutes ago. Ali have cleared PMP with above target.
Congratulations, Raheel, on clearing your PMP in first attempt.
You cleared PMP exam with 5 above target. The best thing that anyone can do. 5 above target. Ladies and gentlemen, second student in 3 days, 5 above target.
I didn't expect it that I will get this result. I thought that I will be like target or like above target.
Thanks to you. Without your dedication and guidance, it was impossible for me.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is
We can
clear to you.
above target, above target, above target, above target. Do I have to read film book? Do I have said no, no? Like whenever he heard like this guy have read 5 times film book so many times, he always get confused and come back to me. I kept on saying him, you are going to clear, just read one time, and that's what he did.